Hello everybody, this is Simon with Let's Play Mega Man Quantum. Of course this is not the final stage but just an intermission one. However, in comparison to the past intermissions we've seen so far with the laughable one in Secundum and the slightly better but still very short one in Tertium, this is a really good one, and it has an introduction that is actually so awesome that I'm going to shut up and let you watch the rest of this cutscene in quiet. Man, this is the effort I was really talking about. They did all of these extra sprites just for this small cutscene, and it was a really badass one, if I may say so myself, if we consider the Game Boy, of course. It is definitely the coolest of that sort we've ever seen in a classic Mega Man game, and there are more to come. This boss here, however, is not that good, and in fact Quantum's original bosses are probably the biggest draw the game has. You've already seen all the boss is going to do, so I'm going to speed this up considerably by using its weakness, Pharaoh Shot, which he's really weak against. The biggest problem, however, is that he's not going to open up anytime soon. You see, it is trivial to avoid him, you just have to wait it out and slide away to the left, of course, otherwise you will have to jump over it again. And the flames are easily dealt with, even though he's going to shoot out two at once at the end. We're not going to see that though, because Pharaoh Shot is just that good. The other big problem with this boss is that if you happen to get hit, and it is pretty easy in the last stage, then there is absolutely zero ways to refill from here to the rest of the stage, which is kind of a problem because the rest of the stage is just a lead up to another boss. It is kind of badly done in my opinion, though on the other hand there is nothing really stopping you from redoing this over and over again until you get good enough at the first part, which as you just have seen should be no problem. I also really like this part because we're now in the tank. It makes a lot of sense, just geographically, quote unquote, and you're destroying its ammunition reserve from the inside out. This is also kind of a tutorial for a later stage. If you do hit the bombs and are too close, then you will get damaged. So the game should be over by now, because we have all the weapons in our disposal. We could even stop time for fuck's sake, but no, Wily is for some reason quicker, and hello there! This is our Mega Man killer for the day, and for once it is one who has actually a presence in the game. Meet Belade. Belade is not too tough to fight in this iteration, because you can sure as hell go assume that we're not killing him now. The biggest problem is again his bulk, which has been a problem with most of the Mega Man killers so far, except for Quint, because Quint was completely useless. His shots are easily dodged, of course, as you can see they are very slow, and that entire affair is done and over with relatively quickly. It is still not too long of a stage, which is why I upended a little something at the end, but I do think the introduction alone is really worth it being the best intermediate stage so far. The next 4 levels are going to be on the tank itself, as the background tells us, which is also really cool, as cool as the pixel art for the Robot Masters is, maybe. But as I said, a little something extra. The extra password system we have now is also really expanded from everything we've seen so far, and allows us to spell out every Bavarian's favorite beverage. Remember this password well if you happen to actually have problems with this game. I do think that it is one of the most accessible Mega Man games out there, just by virtue of being really well designed and not having any dick moves so far we've seen. maybe a little in Ringman stage, but you should be able to equip yourself for that. But if you're still having trouble, if there is stuff that is just too tedious for you, like you need a lot of E-tanks or something, with this password you can skip any and all grind you might have to do. You even start out with the energy balancer. By the way, I got mine off screen in case you're wondering. From the next video on I'm going to have one. Of course this is kind of cheating, so I'm going to kill myself. And yes, there is actually a point to that, because we're going to see me killing myself quite a lot now, but I cut out most of it, of course. This is also something I would recommend you if you're still having problems, because there is actually a little something extra this game does if you're really struggling, and I do think that is a very nice gesture, even though you would have to really try and get it to activate. What you need to do is go into a stage, game over once, twice, 3 times, and a final time, and always continue, always on the same stage. And if you do so, skip over the password screen, continue again, there is a special scene. Which kind of doesn't make a real amount of sense, because if he could do this from the start, then, well, why didn't he do so? Maybe he was just being fair and giving Wily a fair fighting chance. Mega, of course, is like, whatever, I'm out of here. So what does this actually do? Well, the enhanced Mega Buster fires quicker shots. Also, it upgrades your charge shot a little, so that it also travels faster and it is a little bigger. It gives you maybe a little extra edge. It is not really broken or anything, but if you're seriously having trouble with the game, this might just be the one thing that you need. Thank you very much for your attention.